Thank you so much. Again, very good evening to you guys. What we're about to talk today is a lot to do with robustness of businesses, about the changes that businesses have gone through in the last 2 years since the pandemic has begun. Again, a quick introduction about myself for people who just joined in. I'm the co-founder CEO at Shoptimize, and we help brands set up and grow their D2C sales. For us, the last 2 years have been extremely different from anything we've seen. Very rarely does a company get to see this kind of an impact on their business, and we were at the good end of getting some of the benefits out of what has changed in terms of how people shop for products, how brands reach consumers, and how growth generally happens. So I would just quickly like to go around and have a quick introduction along with what really has changed for your business in the last 2 years. And then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about that. So we'd love to start with you, Mr. Jayakumar.
Thank you, Mangesh. Good evening, all of you. I think very happy to meet, but I know very less quorum here at the end of the day. But I'll try to impress whatever we wanted to say as a panel. Yes, Mangesh, I'm from Apollo Pharmacy as a CEO. And we run close to 4,600 stores across the country. Presence over 700 plus cities, and 20% of our network runs around 24 hours. We serve close to 7 lakh walk-ins per day, but over the last year, it's close to 200 million what we served as a prescription. As a unique consumer, it's close to the 50 million. So that's the number. Yes, last 2 years been a very the tough ride in terms of up and downs. And typically, everyone say that healthcare has done a great they've done a great business. So it's a myth, basically. Yes, we have survived, and we have actually served this country and saved many of them. So this credit goes to all the healthcare across India, and as well the 9 lakh chemists who are there in this space. Just to give you the number, today the market size is close to 1,50,000 crores, and out of which hardly 8 to 9% is an organized market. So it's very widely unorganized. And within this retail share, the format, we have a 60% of the market share, and we are continue to grow close to 17 to 18% in organic, and with the new stores, we are around 21 to 22%. So I think that's the intro I would like to start with. Thank you.
Well, I'm Darpan Kapoor. I come from a city called Chandigarh. We are primarily upper north player. Started our business in 1989, having 28 stores now. Every season we're opening 2 more stores, since these are the large format store. None of our store is less than 20, 25 or 30,000 square feet. You can say this, that we are one of the best options for the brands in Upper North. And representing all the international and national brands, it is a business which is growing steadily. During COVID also, we have seen the growth. Not as much as this thing, but yes, it was not a negative growth. So this is how it is. We also are a prime player on online business as an aggregator. And Mangesh is given the details of online business, which is of course the future of retail. Online business is gonna stay. And then we have some other businesses, but then that's what we are.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Devang. I'm the Chief Technology and Product Officer at KredX. So KredX is India's largest supply chain platform company, supply chain finance platform company. In the last couple of years, we have processed more than $6 billion of invoices on our platform, and about 2 million invoices have got discounted. So we work with a lot of large brands and companies to finance their supply payments, as well as downstream for their dealers and distributors on the channel financing part. And we also have buy now, pay later for the dealers and distributors and buyers. So to Mangesh's question on the impact of COVID, so we are very, very closely correlated with the supply chain of of India. Although we have started a new with the export financing part, but at that time we didn't, and when the COVID hit and lockdown started, and when the supply chain stopped, we stopped, and so we saw that our online. So we also work with a lot of the marketplace aggregators and their suppliers, and the amount of invoice discounting that we saw on the marketplaces zoomed up, and everything else stopped except for the essential services invoices. And over time, slowly, September 2020, till maybe June 2021, everything, things started to pick up a little bit. It went down again, and now we're seeing, a lot of the invoices and a lot of the invoices from the, the offline world, including logistics and from the stores and distributors, retailers, all those channels opening up again. Yeah, that's about me.
Hi, my name is Rahul, and I'm the country head for Skechers. We've been in India for the last 8 years. Out of that 8 years, 2 years in COVID. But largely, it has been a great journey that we are seeing in India. We operate close to around 350 Skechers stores, plus multi-brand, plus online, plus distribution business. COVID actually has been a roller coaster ride, from zero business to some business to exponential business to a certain level of normalization to again exponentially to lockdown. So, and with all this, the supply chain challenges, all of that has been, I think, a great learning experience, great way to evaluate human, importance, how a human can handle this situation, whether it is the frontline team, to the back end, to supply chain teams, everybody. Overall, I think, while COVID has not been good, but for our category, it has done wonders because health has suddenly become so important for everybody, and therefore investing into individuals' health, and therefore getting more fitness conscious, and therefore investing in the right footwear, the right apparel that you need to wear for that. That has really worked and helped us. But with the supply chain challenges, exponential demand, trying to put all of this together, marry all of this has been a horrendous task. But all in all, good experience.
Hi, my name is Rajiv Nair. I'm the Group CEO of Kaya Limited. Now, we are a very different category than traditional retail. We are a very touch-feel orientated business into skin and hair care. So obviously, when the pandemic hits, the consumer need for no low touch, no touch, and staying away from places where you are in close proximity of people impacts our type of business the most. So whether you're in wellness or salons or you are in a dermatology business, you actually get impacted very quickly. But at the same time, safety, like I think Rahul said rightly, I think health and safety has become a very important issue. Brands which are seen to be cognizant of it, brands who bring maybe that expertise of safety are able to win better post-pandemic in comparison to the ones that are not. So for example, in our business, we have more than 100 qualified dermatologists working. So as you have doctors in the business, obviously the trust factor on the business becomes much better than maybe going to a salon or any other center for this thing. And there are certain, I mean, funny part, like women sitting at home for a very long period of time, also very frustrated that, things which otherwise would need a lot of effort for them, with our kind of services, there is something that we can do better. I'll give you a simple example, is a laser hair removal that we do quite a bit in the country. And obviously after COVID, people have realized that this is a more safer service and need more people to come. But needless to say, when the business was shut down, we got impacted quite a bit. But one of the things that we also realized is that the need to be a business which is omni and an online, offline business A lot more focus on our product business, which is about 30% of our business, also increased. Then concepts like the D2C came into play, web consultation came to play, a lot of new ideas came into play. And as we go forward, I'll talk about a few ideas like using of AI, ML and other things that could be done for personalization of customer experience. So maybe I will leave it right now, and then maybe at later phase, I'll talk about it.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking time out today and listening to us. My name is Rajnish, and I run Zebra Technologies in India. Some of you may know us, and a lot of you may not. We are a US multinational technology company with global revenues of about $5 billion. We are synonymous with enterprise visibility and asset intelligence, and our claim to fame is barcode printing, RFID technologies. So essentially we power supply chain for many industries verticals like retail, e-commerce, manufacturing, transportation, logistics. So coming to your question about how life has changed for us during the pandemic, I think we were one of the few companies who never shut down operations because we were really powering the supply chains, and we were almost like a essential service which was required to run supply chain operations for almost every company in every across the country. And we've really helped a lot of companies transform from the physical to e-commerce and traverse the omni-channel journey. Not only that, I think these insights, the data which gets thrown up is now being used for a lot of consumer insights and improving customer experience. So there's a lot we can talk about, but let me hand over the phone to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. So my name is Tirthankar, and I represent Avery Dennison. It's a Fortune 500 company based out of the US, and I head the RFID division in India. So coming to the question, with what changes we have seen personally, I mean, as a company, we have grown exponentially during the pandemic. Again, closely related to Zebra. We are also from the AIDC industry, and that was one of the essential services. So we also did not shut our operations during COVID. The basic changes that we saw during this period was that the need for companies for adopting automation faster compared to their plans, and also visibility of supply chain. Because the core, I think, again, is supply chain, and RFID as a technology is one of the enablers in supply chain, and without your supplies, virtually everything shuts down. So what we notice is that a lot of companies are investing in new technologies in supply chain and also in automation, because we as an organization believe that the future is every physical asset is going to have a digital identity, and that is going to collect the data, and how you manipulate or how you play with the data is going to ultimately be the mantra for the next 15, 20 years. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think, different impacts on different businesses. But I think one thing that resonates is, I guess, tenacity and resilience of your businesses that has, pulled all of us through. And this goes out to everybody else in the audience as well. We were all thrown a set of problems nobody had solved before. And most people rose to that occasion, saw opportunities, and grew their companies, their businesses. So it's been a great time of learning. But one of the things that that we think about now is what are some of the lasting impacts of this, right? Now, as things get normal gradually, as supply chains open up, as people are more willing to mingle and move around. There is still going to be a continuing impact of what the pandemic did. One of the things that we are seeing, at least in the IT sector, is I think 5 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day from office is now history, right? I don't think for a very long time we can expect that, at least in our sector. And that is something that we are preparing for. That includes better processes, better systems, closer team bonding and all of that, because that's one of the things that takes a hit when you're not physically around. And we're working towards a more hybrid kind of a situation. But coming back to each one of your businesses, what are some of the pieces that you'll have learned that I think are now going to stay with you over the years? What are some of the things that have permanently changed, and how are you getting ready for that future? So we can start with Mr. Jayakumar.
Yeah, I think, Mangesh, what we have seen as an organization the last 2 years, in terms of data, the pre-COVID and post-COVID, the things have really changed. The shopping experience as well as the expectation of the consumers have changed in the front end. That is one. And we all, again, almost like 5 years ahead of Omni, which we never thought, that 3 years ago when we had RA year, we were just talking about the 1% of the market share after 22, 23 or 25. Now we are almost 5 years ahead. And we as a retailer, and we are actually, legacy company, it's 4 decades. We never had an online, and suddenly this COVID has come. The adaptation rate was very high as a digital. And yes, we have a store connect was very strong because we are very, really connected with within the ecosystem of near to the store, with the communities. But we felt that it's very important for us to set the things right. And that's where, quickly at the COVID, wave 1 itself, and we have and we have brought all the physical assets, whatever we have in the group, being in the hospitals, clinics, diagnostics, pharmacy, home care, everything in one app. And a good thing is that we are the only organization in the country, we have a physical presence in terms of healthcare as a wide numbers. And also everything is owned by us. We don't have any franchises, so that's a kind of, what we have done. So what is the change we have seen? Yes, consumers need the faster service even in our category. And though we have a pharma as well as non-pharma both, and when we are seeing that when you are running a kind of data, last year my consumer red is also here, what we have seen is we have been served close to 200 million prescriptions, and out of which when we run it is close to 400 million lines basically. So when we saw in terms of the bill penetration and category adjacencies have changed basically. The people what they are looking for. We as a pharmacy, we are famous for baby, we are famous for mother, we are famous for our chronic categories such as cardiac, diabetics, and so on so. But however, what we have seen typically as a pharmacy in terms of the baby category, we have seen people generally come and buy diapers and only the IMF because we are very fresh in terms of dispensing. But now, after this, the post-COVID, what we are seeing is that they wanted to complete the basket within the store itself, and they really don't want to go to the multiple stores to complete their basket. So we are really gearing ourselves to see. Then another one, what we have seen in terms of as a the existing consumer as well as the new consumer we have actually acquired during the the COVID period, a lot of difference. And the third one, what we have seen is that the different age brackets and everyone has started adopting the digital play. And earlier the pharmacy, it's above 40 or above 50, generally it's physical. So they also started actually adopting it. And when we have run the consumer the insights, there are 2 parts of it. One is our existing the consumers and the new consumers. The existing consumers have said, I'm fine, I'm willing to come back to you again and again. So we have we call it as typically the super users. They come close to 25 repeat purchases in a year. And they continue to wanted to buy from us, but they were just looking for the value more and little bit of more service. And also the extension of the categories is evolved in a health and wellness, as the Skechers, the head has said that a lot of time they're spending on the wellness side of it. That's, fortunately we have built this wellness category well in before. So it's become really easy for us to just see and set the stores. The younger part of the shoppers, they're less than 35. They said, yes, during the COVID we have come to you. The post-COVID, my UI/UX experience with the app is far better. And I can able to see the content. I could able to see whenever I wanted to buy. So why should I come to the store? So I think we have taken that feedback too. So we are reimagining our entire the layout and trying to put some communication around it and content around it so that that they can also, come and buy from us. Again, as I always say, that this is not a passionate category. This is about a stress category, but we are trying to make it as much possible, the health and wellness and pharmacy together. I think that's what the changes, what we are looking in the last, the year or so.
Thank you.
These 2 years has shown the mankind that life can stop. That nobody thought that in 2022 there will be something will happen which will be called pandemic and COVID, and which will stop the life everywhere. Nobody even thought that at this era a war will happen, and it happened. So what I'm saying is that things will happen. There will be political disturbances, there will be natural disasters, there will be something like this. But if your business is correct, you have to keep on going and doing it. And this is what we did. Our plan did not change. Even during pandemic, it slowed down, but we opened 5 stores in the last 2 years. And we are still opening stores. And in pandemic, even when the stores were closed, the renovation and the interior of the stores were going on. Not, of course, when it was on a peak, but when the relaxations were happening. And today we are seeing the result that I know the industry people who are working with us, the numbers of all the brands has increased, not by percentage, but certain X's. Sales, like customer also has seen this, that Kapsons has again come back with the latest range and latest this thing. Our stores are back on track, our business is back on track. During pandemic, we started with the online business. You have to find a way to keep running your business. Things will happen, If today is pandemic, tomorrow something will happen. 28 days we did not shut down our warehouse. Even during curfew times, at 8 o'clock we used to send our laborer inside the warehouse, and morning 8 o'clock they used to come out. Suddenly, in the first pandemic, there was no restriction on online sales. Of course, second pandemic, they put the restriction on online. During the first pandemic, we created a facility in the stress time, and we did the sales. We met our numbers, we met our targets, we kept the business rolling. So my advice is that things will happen, changes will happen, but you need to keep your business, keep running, come out with the new ideas. This is what the entrepreneurs are. If the entrepreneur cannot come with the new ideas, he has no innovation ideas, then he's just following somebody. He himself doesn't have anything. With this, I'll take, I'm sorry I have to fly back to Chandigarh. I'll take my leave and I'll exit from here only. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So continuing on the same trend of entrepreneurship and coming up with innovations in difficult times, that is what we had faced. So pre-pandemic, we had a single product on the supplier financing of large enterprises and brands. But what we saw, during the pandemic was that a lot of the processes, internal processes of a company, and I think like our business is maybe a little different from the panelists here, because we are mostly on the back-end side, like working with the B2B supply chain of the businesses. Right? And what we saw was that our customers didn't have the internal processes set up itself to manage a lot of the workflows that happened. Like even like a simple thing like an invoice approval, right? Which was, the process were laid on, just manual intervention of people being in proximity, right? Or, like payments happening through check signing, right? So these were things that we were still facing, and, before pandemic, nobody even thought about it, right? Or nobody second guessed any of these things. But, during the pandemic, we started to face these issues with the customers, right? And, our customers were telling us that, if they have to make a change in SAP to change the workflow, it has to go through a different team, and that team, has approval, and it'll take 1.5 months. And, it's basically, it was a big mess for our customers also. right? And that was impacting their supply chain because they were not able to, do things. They're not able to get the invoices approved on time. They were not getting finance. Their suppliers were unhappy. They were stopping the supply. Their distributors not buying things, right? And so that is when, I think 2 months in the pandemic, when we got all this feedback, and we looked, we kind of looked at the market to see what are the solutions out there, but nothing that we thought we could recommend to the customers. And so we did what we think, like what entrepreneurs do and what our expertise was in software and technology. We built a solution stack, for our customers on helping them manage their AP, on their approval side, on two-way matching, three-way matching, reconciliation, TDS, like all these things that they were dependent on, maybe getting data from somebody, passing on data or files from one person to the another person. We built workflows, we built tools, we built automations on all these things. And post-pandemic, getting into the pandemic, we were a single product company. Now we have 5 products, that all relates to each other. And, we can go to a customer and we can tell them, this is a one-stop solution for you for your supply chain finance issues, right? And for anything that you need to do to efficiently manage and improve your supply chain, whether it's from a technology point of view or from a finance point of view. So that, I think, for our company had been a, big game changer, and it, helped us see what, it helped us look at, problems as opportunities. Because the first week, honestly, we were just, stagnant. Like we were just wondering what happened, to our business, how are things going to happen? We were making all these predictions every day, and those predictions were getting failed the next day, right? So we said, okay, let's stop trying to, predict the market. Let's try to make the market, and that's what we tried to do.
So for us, I think one of the things that has happened is investment in technology, and a good amount of investment has happened in that field. Starting off with a simple, what we call as the consumer interface from a web perspective. We had an e-commerce enabled website. Orders flew in, started coming in. It was not planned. It was not designed to handle that kind of volume. It crashed. So we realized all of those things. So there's a good amount of investment that has gone in. One thing definitely that has changed from a consumer's perspective is that the consumer is doing a lot of research now on the digital, platforms to understand about the company, the product, the brand, the features, etc., before probably, or even new product launches, and they come with that information to the store, especially in our case, and they expect the staff in the front end also to be able to give the right information. So what it means for us is that the amount of time and energy that needs to be spent on the training of the staff has also increased. So while there is technology, there is a technology interface at the store to buy the product, size not available in another store, can be shipped to the customer. All of those things have been happening. Some things were not there, got that implemented. But I think, research from a consumer's perspective and training to your front-end team, these are some things that have really taken a lot of importance in these last 2 years, and I think going forward would also be in a similar situation.
Yeah, I think a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have remained the same, right? So I think certain fundamentals of how you do business do not change, right? And I might sound a little old-fashioned, but I think, going back to the tenets of how retail businesses are built on customer trust and confidence is something that one needs to go. I mean, just across the table, we would believe that maybe 40-50% of the customers were lost over the 2 years because they had no access to your brand, right? And now that you're back to the business, your single biggest bet of getting the customers is actually the customers who were with you. So concepts which we learned long time ago, like customer lifetime value, have come back to core. Only thing is the data that is used to study this has to be more robust. Customer buying behavior over an 8-10 year period can be studied because you have a lot of data sitting with you, but you are not completely equipped to study the pattern. So one of the things that we are trying to do is to find those patterns in customer buying behavior. We have gone back to how a customer who has spent time of 9, 10, 5 years with us, how is that purchase behavior, how is the adjacency, all of those kind of things which are there. We are a services business, so people move from one customer segment to another. And even the life stages change the way the customers buy. So a 16 to 20-year-old buys a particular type of service, 20, 30, we have customers going all the way up to 70. So that's the one thing that we are trying to study. I would not say pandemic taught us, but pandemic reinforced the importance of existing customers. So that's one thing. Second is acquiring new customers. Now there are new facilities, new techniques that needs to be done. And that's where I would say one of the things that I think most of us would have learned is collaboration is key. So in fact, during the pandemic, some of us were constantly on Zoom calls, initially not knowing anything and spending disproportionate amount of time listening to each other. But in the process, we also met some people who would never have collaborated otherwise. For example, we worked a beautiful collaboration with CureFit. And we said that the customer who's coming for fitness and wellness and who's currently sitting at home could also, as the business opens up, come to a business like ours, which is beauty and wellness. So a lot of young consumers who are into the fitness segment actually became our customers in the business. And beauty is services which were priced at 20, 30,000 rupees were being swiped on a card online, which we never thought. We always thought only products of 2,000, 3,000 can sell online. We actually saw customers spending 20, 30,000 rupees online. The business that we got from CureFit was 50% online and 50% offline, people coming for consultations in the clinic. So that is as far as customer. The third is reinforcing customer trust and more importantly, studying the quality of service that you deliver. I mean, rudimentary techniques like NPS scores after every single service and consistently measuring each clinic on a scorecard on the way they are delivering service actually has become important because every customer who walks out of the door unhappy is never going to come back to you, right? So I think these are tenets that we probably learned in the past, but this has become even more important. Why has it become important? That sometimes over the next 1 year, 1.5 years, you may realize that the volume of customer may not grow at the same rate, but value per customer can actually grow very high. So that is the first part. Second is obviously the employee. Employees suffered quite a bit during pandemic. So first of all, obviously the way of doing work was, while we all think that it was so simple to do Zoom and others, a lot of employees found it very challenging to work offline, in a typical offline business working only online. So that's something which is, so I think we need to win back the trust of our employees also post-pandemic. And again, something that is sustainable because we need to create trust. Before we think of things like productivity from employee, we need to regain that trust back with the employees which are there because times were tough. There were various decisions we probably would have taken at that particular time, which probably hit to the core of what we call as employee trust. I think we need to regain back that trust with employees. The other part of employees is also talent retention, because I think with online businesses picking up and a lot of new businesses coming in, the opportunities have opened up manifolds. So one other thing that we need to do is, as online, offline merge mixed players, we also need to retain those employees quite a bit. The third component is technology. So I was telling about a few tricks that we learned during the pandemic. So we went into web consultation. So we worked with M-Fine at that time, and we got their customers to do dermatology consultations online with us. Second is that we developed an AI tool for customization, personalization of customer, consultation. Because earlier we had a little bit of a touch feel based way of examining a customer. We actually built a tool where, using a camera of a phone, we can identify the physical issues that may be there on skin and hair. And based on that, we can even do a predictive outcome based on our services as to what could be the outcome that you can get out of our services. So customer gets a predicted post. And over a period of time, as they keep coming, we can keep taking visuals and keep measuring the performance of the outcome that we are able to give with our services. So that's the other thing that we have done. Last but not the least, we moved our business partially to D2C. And one thing that we learned is that all the D2C, first players in the market have put in tons and tons of money during this particular period towards marketing and advertising and build brands. From nowhere, brands have become 0 to 500 crores, right, in the D2C space. But as physical retailers also, we need to have a strong play there. Irrespective of the kind of investments that we need to make over the next few years, if we are not there, only working with partner channels is not going to help us. So I think Apollo is a great example of how they were able to mandate and not just do that, but also do 2-hour delivery, 3-hour delivery, 4-hour delivery, because customers no longer willing to wait for 2 days and 3 days and 4 days to receive products. We are not there yet, but that's the place that we want to go in the next few years. So those are the changes that I think the pandemic kind of taught us.
Very insightful. So I think for us, we saw some long-term trends which are already present in the country, right? So all of us know that India is one of the largest mobile shopping country in the world. And the shift to e-commerce, omni-channel were already there. Those signs were already there for us to see. What the pandemic did was just to accelerate the whole thing, fast forward it by, let's say, 5 years. During the initial period of the lockdowns, I think we were trying to help our customers really run their supply chain operations. We were really helping a lot of our customers convert their physical stores into micro-fulfillment centers so that they couldn't get any walk-ins, but they could convert their physical stores and physical inventory, get the orders dropped into their stores, and get their associates pick, drop, pack, label, and ship and courier it to customers directly to home. And now what we are seeing is this resurgence of a lot of brands wanting to invest back into physical stores. We see many conversations happening about expansion of number of stores, elevating the store experience. So I think some of the panelists also mentioned about the heightened level of awareness of customers, because there is so much research happening, there is so much information available on brands, new launches, future launches. And customers do go into stores for a far higher level of customer experience than before, right? They want the store associates to be much more informed. And this is where we are really helping a lot of our customers work with them to see how we can empower their store associates much better. How can we ensure that they're able to open their stores faster as compared to the past? How can they run their inventory checks, audit checks, planograms in a much more organized and fast-forwarded action? I think technology has become one of the most important investment criteria for successful retail operations today, right? And there is myriad amount of technology available for myriad use cases. But without technology, I think it'll be really hard to keep and gain trust of consumers going forward, right? So all of us probably need to be aware that the omni-channel world is here to stay. Research online, buy offline, buy online, pick up in store. All these concepts will be omnipresent, and we need to live with these dynamic changes and design our IT systems, make our investments to ensure that we are able to service our customers and continue to build loyalty with them. I think there is enough research to say that companies which invest in technology in their store operations, companies which invest in technology to empower their associates better, have lower attrition, and they are able to gain better trust of their customers. So, and customers value those companies better whose associates are better empowered by technology. So, yeah, these are a lot of learnings, and every day is a new learning. We've worked with so many customers. You can use a base basic technologies of barcode, RFID, and every day there's a new use case which gets generated. There's so much innovation happening. I think India is in that sense a hotbed of use case innovation around barcode and RFID. Very exciting times ahead.
Oh, thank you. We are into a lot of segments, but coming specific to retail, I think the core point here would be customer satisfaction and customer experience. Taking that as the key word, I think, when we did our research, there were three basic classifications. One is the customer who does exclusive shopping online. One is who searches online, buys offline. And there was a third category which actually does only offline, right? So we do believe that online and offline will coexist. Each has their advantages and disadvantages. For example, in online you have a faster checkout, but again you have to wait for the product. So that's the delay of 2 to 3 days that a customer is looking at. When you go offline in the cases, you're looking at actually physically feeling the product, but you may have to stand in a long line, which may actually hinder your customer experience or satisfaction at the store level. So looking at these three scenarios, how you reduce these lead times or how you reduce these wait times at physical stores and lead times for online stores is the key. And the only possible way to reduce that lead time is through deployment of technology. That can be any technology, RFID, Bluetooth, waferless chips, whatever. But I think that is where we are focusing as a company on, because at the end of the day, it's all about the customer satisfaction and experience. Experience plays a very important factor here because, as some of the panelists said, if they go through a bad experience, the chances of them coming back are pretty low. So what we do is to enable the end users to have a better experience. That's the core value that we think is going to be the game changer specific to retail. And we are seeing that e-com companies are the ones which are taking the risk and going forward. And soon they will also be coming on offline. That's the trend we are seeing after being, taking over the online business. They are also coming in for the offline business. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Thanks a lot. So, a quick summary of some of the things everybody's seeing and saying about their businesses. Digital is now a critical part of every business. It's been accelerated significantly. I don't think it's something new. Everybody was doing it, but now everybody needs to do a lot more of it. The second is consumer expectations, right? Like they expect things faster. They expect things, more convenient. And all of us are kind of trying to figure out how to make that happen, how to keep growing our, getting new customers, as well as growing from our existing customer base. So one quick, question around the panel, and then we'll move to questions from the audience. But the one thing that you see that technology is going to impact significantly, and I can start at our end, all of this that's happened has led to an explosion in data, right? Everybody has so much more data than before. Everybody's tracking more data. But the big challenge that is happening is how do you get any information out of it, and then how do you act on that information, and how do you make that a part of your regular business processes? So that's something that we see, things like machine learning and all of that making a huge impact on those pieces going forward. So that's one piece that that will become mainstay, at least from an analysis perspective, because it's gone beyond the realm of human analysis in a lot of cases. So that's the one thing I see. But we can start with Tirthankar, and what is the one tech piece that you see will change the future for us?
Sure, thanks. As I said, I think we're looking at a future where every asset is going to have a digital identity, and that is going to drive the future of how we interact and collect data and what to do with the data. So everything is going to have a unique identification, every physical asset. That is the way, and that is the future that we see.
Yeah, I think, there's no short answer to this, but efficiency in supply chain operations clearly is a big issue these days, right? In a world of disrupted supply chain, how you can, cut short your, improve your visibility of where your inventory is, and how do you ensure that, it reaches from point A to point B in the shortest period of time. And point B here is the end customer, right? So irrespective of the go-to-market channel, whether it is offline or online, how quickly can you satisfy the customer? Someone mentioned that, the biggest issue at retail stores is stockout situation. How do you prevent those situations to happen? How can you predict demand better? So I think one is clearly investment in technology really helps improve your visibility of your inventory and make it more efficient to run your supply chain. I think the other piece is around data, right? And I'm really heartened to see some of the top retailers in the country really putting their heads together in finding ways to really impress the customer, right? This was not a hallmark for Indian retailers in the past. In the past, you put your inventory in the store and you expect people to come and buy it. But I think the kind of work which is being done today to really wow the customer is really, really amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing that I've learned is personalization is going to be one of the key to success in future. Because, we've seen this in the past world where we saw that customers wanted a lot of choice. They wanted to go to big, large stores. And over a period of time, they funneled into something which is slightly more exclusive. And today they are saying with one store, one brand, I can buy everything that I want. Same thing will happen with the plethora of internet choices that the customer has. They have no idea what is supposed to be bought. Because there are hundreds of brands saying this is good, that is good, this is nice, that is nice, without really understanding who is the consumer. You just have to say that I have a problem and there'll be 100 people behind you giving you a lot of advices and opinions. And not all choices are the best choices. So if you can prove as a brand that you can personalize the experience for the customer and make the customer feel that I'm talking one-to-one and not one-to-many, I think over a period of time, things will be at a stage where customer feels that the choices are simpler. I can make those choices quickly. I'm willing to pay a premium for the best choice. I'm not a person who is in the mass commoditized space. And as India evolves and as disposable incomes keep evolving, even in the internet space, people will start looking for exclusivity. I think that's where understanding data a little bit more deeper. So for example, the family, the occupation, the recreational activities of the customer, the dreams of the customer, all of these kind of things we don't capture today, right? As data, we don't have all these data points on our customer. But if you don't understand the customer at that level, what are we trying to sell to the customer? So those are aspirations in our mind. Whether we have all that data with us today, we don't know. But in future, that may be something that we need to know about each of our customers. So that's what I think personalization will be the future. Thanks.
I completely agree with Rajiv. The only thing that I would want to add to this thing is that while there are, multiple facets of the business, there are multiple technology engines or, applications that everybody is working with. I think the focus has to be customer, make life simple for him, make life seamless for him. As long as the focus is over there, I think a lot of the journey for everybody is going to be easier. But because, when, like he was saying, there's so much of data. What do you do with so much of data? At times it really gets very complicated. And you can actually, misreading some of the important elements when you're seeing so much of data. So I think the effort has to be keep it very simple, simplify life for the consumer, and make it as seamless as possible. I think that's the way forward.
Thanks. So it's very interesting. So while our business does not have a consumer-facing aspect, right, but a lot of the technologies, a lot of the ideas that we heard so far in terms of the use of technology, I think is also what we are thinking and considering. Right, in terms of data, there is abundance of data now, and what data to use and what data to use to make decisions and profiles and for example, in our case, in terms of providing credit, how does the data impact the rate that you give to a customer, right? Varies a lot, right? And a lot of our thoughts are going into that, given the explosion of data that is getting collected everywhere throughout the supply chain, from the raw material provider to the end customer, right? And everybody is trying to collect this data and trying to figure out what to do with it. Right? So we are also, on the same boat because we know that this will impact our business. Data, the theory says that getting more data will make decisions better, right? But now how to convert that theory into practice is something that is, where a lot of companies and a lot of people in every company, I'm sure, is looking into it. And yeah, secondly, I think one thing that will become important on the same aspect is the interoperability or sharing of data, right? There were even, during this event, there were a lot of companies that were talking about sharing data and collecting data across different brands to get an aggregated model. And there were, like a lot of the, slides that we saw was around that. Like, so one company's data, one company trying to just protect its data and, might become, at least, that's my personal thought, like would be on a back foot to companies who are collaborating on sharing data and then building on top of that, right? And I think the example that was given, in terms of Kaya, collaborating with other collaborators to, share the data and, share even customer information to get, to build synergies is something that I think we'll see more and more of.
So Mangesh, I can't say as a one, but there are many. But still, you will be surprised the category where we are in. Out of 9 lakh, the chemists in the country, only 25% of them are use computers. So that's the kind of, but their brain is the computer. They own each and every customer in their, the locality. But yes, the AIOCD, which is really working close with all the retailers and telling them how important to have this entire, the distribution, the 50,000 fragmented distribution has become completely computerized. Whereas in the retail side, there is a lot of, the gap which they are trying to fill. But having said that, the pharmacy like us and where we have a, 4,800 stores spread across, the breadth and width of the country. And there are 3 parts of these systems, what we are really seeing it. The one is your backend infrastructure, which has everything and we're completely integrated as an ERP. I think fortunately we have that. And second, in terms of at the store, looking into the consumer requirement, how really you make POS is very, very effective. Why? Because in the store, when you have a retail attrition like 42%, and how do you really make it easy for our, the employees at the ground? I think we are working on, that area very closely with whatever the inputs are coming in so that it will become more easy. In this current, the omni-channel world, the employees are really have to be, upskilled. So for that also, we have got a product which is, we have in-house, we have developed My Gurukul, where from, our employees can learn from anywhere, anytime, the modules what we have put in. And finally, my parent company, which is Apollo Hospitals Group, they're very well advanced in terms of AI and in terms of ML, where, we have, that strategy tie-up with Microsoft and Google, etc. The Microsoft, the exciting thing what we do is, the ICU patient, typically today, or the earlier world where the doctor has to go and see the ICU patient and he has to give and he has to do an instruction, etc. Now, even in his move, you can see all the parameters of the customer and the patient on the monitor directly, and he can insert the the in charge doctor there. What actually need to really the deliver as a this thing, so that the continuum of care which is already there. So the patient will not be feeling that my doctor has not come, not seen me. If he's really on an emergency, he's outside, he can able to see in and out of it. I think that's what is, it's coming in the healthcare. And final, and based on this data, whatever we are studying a lot of patterns of disease. So that's where, because in India, the NCD, which is a non-communicable disease, which is growing like crazy. So we have made the product like, based on the predictive engine. So we have made the product. So Pro Health, I think there are many things are, is happening. I think I said, it's not one, it's many. And, but investing in digital, investing in technology is definitely an inevitable for any of the retailer now and any of the, the category. That's what I summarize. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have about 5 minutes. If there are any questions from the audience.
Yeah, hi. So I work with Jubilant Foodworks. I take care of the expansion. My question is to you, Mr. Jayakumar. In a 3 kilometer radius where I stay, there are 9 Apollo pharmaceutical shops, and then you have an app which is very powerful.
Sorry?
So there are 9 Apollo pharmaceutical shops in a 3 kilometer radius where I stay, and then there is an application, your app, which is very, very powerful. So what are you up to?
What are you up to means what's your question?
Yeah, so my question is, how do you want to, segment the market and expand so rapidly? 9 stores in 3 kilometer.
So as I was just mentioning in the, the previous thing, see, this is the category where it's convenience. It's nothing where the customer or a consumer or a patient, they want the pharmacy is a, more of a convenience. They need the store, need to be within that radius of 2 kilometers. So that's where you can able to see many of our stores within the cluster. So that's where, where we are in. And today's convenience for the consumer today, whether you are an offline, tomorrow you can buy through online, and you're an online customer, come through and, the offline. So it's very important. But as I told you in the, at the start, after all this, we have only a market share of just 5%. So there is a lot of requirements. And so the more and more, what we are looking into that, the community connect what we are really creating. So more than the pharmacy as a dispensing part, how we can really own that and solve the community problem. For example, in one community, you have a skin issue as a big relevant problem due to the, the pollution of the water or anything else. So as a group, how can we go and really, solve? So we're just building this as not just a pharmacy, and again, with a services addition. So post-pandemic, what has happened is not just earlier, all these were separate portfolios, your diagnostics or your consulting or your pharmacies. Now, everyone wanted that to be a basket which is coming in. So that's the thing. But yes, answering straight to your question, the Omni is the play. And we try to use whichever the cities where we don't have our presence, we try to reach out to the dark stores. We try to have less of our retail presence. Where we are dominant in the locations, where we'll try to utilize both. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Myself, Govardhan Reddy. I represent Skandanshi Retail. We are an upcoming beauty, personal care and wellness omni-channel retail. Question to Jayakumar, Rahul and Rajiv. Post-pandemic and the digital era, the customer time being spent in the stores, like, was there any difference? Like, what is the time being spent? And also the timing. Is there any timing change in terms of,
Definitely, yeah. I think I'll just address first. What you was asked is exactly the right, and about the, whatever you are building, and all the best for it.
Thank you.
And as a, the organization, what we have seen earlier, the pre-pandemic, the entire life cycle of the customer coming into the store and going out is 3 minutes, 50 seconds, something like 4 minutes in the pharmacy. Typically, no one want to really engage in the pharmacy, right? At the end of the day, Bukare, Agaya, just you are taking the tablets and you left. But yes, having, the Apollo pharmacy, the beauty is here. We have the section where we can really able to, engage them. And previous, yes, but the post-pandemic, definitely there is a change. So we have to create the trigger points at the store, and what really they can able to just see and they can able to engage. That's where my, the consumer and the in terms of the category team is, trying to do it, and can be able to create a kind of, the information at the store, and where it can trigger them. You have to just look for this. In the system itself, we have actually created, based on the data, the recommendation engine, so that my store guy, within that 2 minutes of time where he is, the diabetic consumer has come. Last time he bought excess Y of it, and that same, invoice will come, and you can just ask them on top of it, what they have actually bought last time, so they can able to just, engage them with it. Would you like to add this? I think that is a new thing we have added into the system, so that in a smart way we can able to really suggest the, the consumer which are related to the category. If I'm a diabetic patient, I need certain kind of, the vitamin and supplements along with that to sustain my, the things. So that's where we have added. Yes, and some trigger we need to retain them at the store. Otherwise, they are not there to spend the time. Maybe a beauty store, yes, they may spend some time, but into the coming to the store, and though it's our 40% is our non-pharma category, and within that personal care where we sell more, fem care where we sell more. So we are trying to engage the fem care customer, in a little different way by engaging and collaborating with the, the manufacturers.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd answer it. I'll answer it a little differently. I think the propensity of the customer to come to a physical store reduced considerably during the pandemic. But as we recover, the number of visits done to the location may reduce, but the propensity to spend and the number of hours they spend will actually proportionately increase, because people have realized that, you know, we have not completely gone out of no contact, right? I don't want to unnecessarily be at a place where far too many people are there. So we have seen almost one additional session per visit increasing, and in our case, a session is almost an hour. So we have seen almost a 45 minutes to 1 hour increase in the number of minutes the customer is spending in a store. But the number of visits per year, we'll have to now study over the next 6 months, 8 months, whether that behavior changes or it will continue to remain that way. So which means the fact that the importance of online contact with online contact with the customer is also increased, because like I think lots of people said, a lot of research is being done at the back end, and at the moment of truth at a store or whatever, customer is already well decided. So I think what's important is a lot of information which was earlier, I would say only through the physical store, is now kind of being researched by the consumer on an online space. So I think online has given that extra time for the customer to know the brand better before they actually interact and convert in the store. Any comments?
So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We're now out of time, unfortunately. Thank you all for coming here. I thank all the panelists for sharing their learnings and their crystal balls as to what is coming in the future. I'm sure all of us have learned a trick or two, and we'll take that back to our own businesses. Thank you, everybody, and have a great evening. Thanks.